Sometimes I feel
Clint Eastwood was playing golf, and his partner, this last year, his partner said, "Clint, how old are you?" He said, 88. He said, 88 on Monday. And his partner said, "Wow, that's wonderful. What are you doing?" He said, "I'm starting a new movie." He said, "How do you do it?" He said, "I wake up every morning and don't let the old man in." And that's life. We wake up every morning and make a decision who we're going to be. I've got Parkinson's disease, so getting up in the morning is not so easy for me. Getting dressed is not so easy. I have to make a decision. Am I going to be a fighter today, or am I going to be a victim? You're in control. You're in control of your mind. It's your mind. So you decide what you think.
It was funny because, so we do a thing where we're paired off with another boxer on one bag. He's at one side, you're at the other. You do 30 seconds of punching, and then you stop and the other guy does his 30 seconds and you hold the bag for him, and all the while you're supposed to be getting a rest. For me, it's hard going. Still, we went for it. I was with a 14-year-old kid. So I go, bam, and I'm giving it full throttle, right? And I think that's the only way I know how. And then it goes to him and he's going, and they're all going, I'm looking around, they're all doing that. And I'm thinking, wish I could do that. But you've only got an hour or 90 minutes in the gym out of your whole life. Why wouldn't you give it everything?
that one after another, they died. And some I saw after they'd grown up, you know, and I hardly knew them after they grew up. Oh, it made me very sad when they did. I remember thinking, God, this one girlfriend I loved so much. Then I heard that she'd passed away. And she was just young, you know. And I thought, gosh, she's just young. She shouldn't have died. That's the way it goes.
I don't think anyone who suffered a tragedy that has gotten through it in some way will tell you that I needed to find deeper meaning in my life. It's the only way I was able to manage. If not, the trauma, the tragedy is just too overwhelming. You know, how do you manage? Some people numb themselves. You know, you just self-medicate, you numb yourself, you distract yourself. But that doesn't mean the pain's not there, it just means you're not feeling it. It's like someone that kills their nerves. So it's not gonna last. So the fact is, there's really no way out. It's like, I'll cry, like one great scholar or teacher told a student who had a tragedy, he said, I don't have answers for you, but I can cry with you. Tears are very cathartic, they're very healing. There's nothing wrong to feeling, you know, feeling that I'm not okay. It's fine. Some people just need to know that. They think, you know, if I'm weak or vulnerable or I'm hurt or I'm crying, something's wrong with me. No, there's nothing wrong with you. That's exactly what is natural. That when a person suffers, cry. And you don't need answers. And find people that will hold your hand. And if you're a person who's supporting someone who's gone through that, hold their hand, be there for them. You don't need to give answers. You don't need philosophies. You don't need explanations. I always say this, the greatest mind cannot speak to a bleeding heart.
But I remember coaching a couple of, I don't know, there'd be 13 or 14-year-old boys. And I was saying, come on guys, you need to do this and do that. And I remember one of them said to me, did you box? And I said, yeah, I boxed when I was young, well, right through to senior level. And they said, how many fights did you have? And I said, give or take 200. And they went, yeah, sure, you know. And I said, no, you don't understand. Nowadays, an amateur boxer is lucky if he gets 3 fights a year, you know. But we were boxing 3 fights in a one night. When you won a championship, when you had to win the district championship, it would be your 3rd fight of the night. Now, of course, that's unthinkable. Guys go, what? You know, 3 fights maybe in 3 weeks. Yes, that's okay. But now, so there's this kind of, there's an easiness in some of the approach by some young boxers now, and they think, they come into the gym and I watch them here. I think, you've only got 90 minutes. Give it everything. You'll leave the gym, you'll be feeling on top of the world. But I see them tippy-tappy-tap, and I say, come on, why you just give it everything? You know, you want to go, you want to exhaust yourself. But these guys, lots of these guys, it's an easier time for them. They don't know what's gone before. God help them if they ever had to realize that or go to that era, if you like. But now they're gaming, they're, you know, it's all about the phone, texting, you know, filming this, filming that. And you think, can we just get on with it, you know, and do it?
I've talked about this, and I've got the philosophy that I don't want my grandchildren to be happy at no cost. They've got to flourish. So we teach them as a family to deal with their own challenges, not to look to us. We won't do anything for them. We'll allow them to try it themselves, make their own hot chocolate, make their own meal, and then we'll help them if they struggle. It's the easiest thing in this world of ours is to stay comfortable in a centrally heated flat with your television or your screens, somebody provide entertainment for you, ringing Deliveroo, getting your meals. It's easy. We are looking for people in our society who step out of that and face challenge. And that is difficult. So they come to us because they need somebody to take them up in the helicopter, look at the big picture and say, at the moment you feel like this challenge is overwhelming you. Look at it. It's okay. You've got so many good things in your life. This is just one little thing. You can deal with this. And that injection of perspective and confidence is so important to people at the critical moments of their career. Somebody with an arm around the shoulder saying, you can deal with this. What's the worst that can happen? We can. And sometimes I say, we can deal with this. We can deal with this.
There's a healthy anxiety even. We'll call it angst, healthy angst. I know the word anxiety sounds terrible, but let me explain. I remember was a guy, he was a cardiologist, a heart doctor, came to one of my classes. And he was a really sweet guy, but he had a very difficult life. Personal and health, he had a lot of issues, challenges. And I always really felt for him. One day he comes to me, he says to me, I'm such a terrible week I've had. Maybe you can do something, intervene, and I'd like to have a peaceful week, just total peace. He had a good sense of humor. So I said to him, so you mean like a flat line? So he said, no, not that peaceful. You know, a flat line in a cardiogram is a sign of death. You don't want a flat line. A heartbeat, a healthy heartbeat, looks like a wave. Like that, like a wave. You know, there's the contraction, expansion of the heart, like the breath. Exhale, inhale. So a flat line means the heart is stopped. So it means he's basically saying, and this is the point I want to make, that healthy life is restlessness. That's a healthy life. There's going to be ups and downs. Every heart that beats is contracting and expanding all the time. The journey of life is up and down. When it goes to extremes, if you have an extreme up, it peaks too high or goes down too low, that's when you get into either high levels of anxiety or high levels of depression or resolution. Like, you know, people who are so calm and relaxed and they're never restless, that's also not healthy. They're just sitting, they're not motivated. So I think it's important to understand that we all need a certain element of longing, seeking, reaching, yearning. If you don't have that, you're not human.
This wheelchair slowed me way down, you know. Oh, did it slow me down. I can't run out and do this and do that like I used to. And I never figured on a wheelchair. I never figured on that. I guess they take it for granted. And then when they can, it's a great sadness, you know, great sadness when they find they can't.
You know, we once lived in a world where responsibility was a given. because it was a difficult life. Or when you don't have all the machinery and the technologies and the comforts of modern life, and you're struggling to make ends meet, and you have to work, I mentioned toiling in a field just to bring home a pound of potatoes so you could have dinner. And we didn't have a lot of leisure time and downtime and free time. So responsibility was just a built-in thing. You know, family grew up, the father worked hard, the mother worked hard, the children saw and they participated. It's only in the modern world where a new phenomenon was created, a lot of free time, leisure. Nobody has to sit and toil under the sun and slave to make ends meet. There are people that do, I'm not suggesting there are, but many don't. And therefore children grow up with a sense of entitlement.
You have to be selfish to be great. You have to put the work in, the dedication in, to be great, to be the best in the world, to win the gold medal. You have to work extremely hard, and you have to be selfish about that. It has to come first, because that's what it takes to meet your objective, to win gold. At the same time, that's your performer identity. At the same time, you've got a real identity forming when you're a young person who's got talent, been discovered, is now making progress. We've got responsibility not only for the performer side of our athlete, but the personal side. So we've got to try and create some identity with the real identity. There's a great story about an American coach, heartbreaking story, a top coach in America who was always away from home, always busy, very successful, but managed to attend his eldest daughter's celebration evening at a high school. She'd been given a scholarship to a top American college, volleyball I think it was. And so they had a celebration and he went with his wife, and his daughter got up to speak at the stage and she said, "I'd like to thank my mother for being at all my games and giving me 100% support. I'd like to thank my father, but I can't. He was only there for other people's children." And it was devastating. This coach said it was devastating.
Alas, alas to those that die with their song still inside them. In other words, we all have a song inside us, and many of us are afraid to sing, either because our parents or educators or society.
He helped people. I know which one I prefer.
I never knew I'd get as old as I am. I never knew that. I just used to sweeten everything with honey. And eat a lot of dark Hershey's dark chocolate, that's all. Those two things, honey and dark chocolate. Remember that.
This documentary was made possible by the support of our sponsor, Marek Health. If you want to also help support us, please become a Patreon member with the link down below. And if you want 24 hours early access to any of our interview content, please head over to Spotify and Apple with the links in the description.